The sheriff's deputies are at Steve's home under the guise of looking for Steve in order to capitalize on the opportunity provided by a 911 call for a man in distress to search for drugs without a warrant. The body camera is worn by Lieutenant Crummy. Watch as Bierkos picks up a pebble. He's got vengeance in mind. Got one. Now, he'll check that he won't be caught. Oops, Crummy, better not record your buddy Scott damaging property. Is Steve hiding in the car? La Crosse Sheriff Investigator Fritz Leinfelder is violating Steve's Fourth Amendment constitutional right against unlawful search. Bierkos has another pebble, and Vernon County taxpayers are paying him to flatten a second tire. Is Steve hiding in the valve stem? Are there drugs in the valve stem? That first pebble must have been too big. Bierkos is getting a smaller one. Take your time, Bierkos. You're getting paid. Steve isn't in the garden. Bierkos is jamming a smaller stone into the valve stem cap before screwing it on to flatten the second tire. Now, Bierkos has the pebble in the cap. Watch as he turns to Crummy to make sure he isn't going to be recorded. Crummy takes the cue and turns away casually to not record the deliberate crime.
Well, I wonder where he's at.
Damage to property. Whoever intentionally causes damage, any physical property of another without the person's consent, is guilty of a Class A misdemeanor.
Since Bierkos is deliberately breaking the law, he is guilty of sub 2.
Misconduct in public office. Any public officer or public employee who does any of the following is guilty of a Class I felony, in the officer's capacity as such officer. Does an act which the officer knows is in excess of the officer's lawful authority or which the officer knows the officer is forbidden by law to do in the officer's official capacity.
And since Lieutenant Crummy turned away so as to try not to record the crime, instead of acting on his obligation as an officer to stop crimes, he is aiding and abetting the crime, as are the others who stood by and watched. The officers who stood by and did nothing to stop Bierkos are also guilty of sub 1.
Any public officer or public employee who intentionally fails or refuses to perform a known duty of the officer's office or employment in the manner required by law is guilty of a Class I felony.
After flattening 2 tires, Bierkos is noticing that he has black tire smut on his hands, so he'll grab a towel. Crummy, noticing Bierkos is done, steps back to check out the damage. All the pretending to conduct an exhaustive search for drugs Steve, in the valve stems of his now flattened tires has worked Bierkos into a sweat. Why? Why should a Vernon County Sheriff Lieutenant have a need to turn off his body camera when Lieutenant Bierkos began to speak?
Conspiracy? And obstruction? Or is it obstruction? It's obviously aiding felons.
For this video, try to tune out Steve's ongoing seizure activity and delirious neurological dysfunction while he is being stripped naked in front of a crowd. Instead, listen to Lieutenant Bierko's brag to his cronies about his criminal misconduct. The raw Bierkos is referring to his deputy Bellacero bragging about tackling Steve and punching him. That is another video. Bierkos is also going to brag to his jail captain buddy, Charles Jacobson. You cannot get a more flagrant demonstration of full awareness of criminal misconduct than checking to make sure the coast is clear. As an aside, Fritz Leinfelder of La Crosse County Sheriff's Department, shown here doing nothing to stop Bierkos, claims to be committed to the protection of citizens and safety for all but is
trespassing.
Back to Bierkos and his pattern of misconduct. 1, 2, 3.
You going with me? Then you come popping out, fucking Fritz back, shoots like after this crying out his fucking hands cracking his mouth. He's his own fucking self-serving blue card. Alright. No? Steve, right here though, okay? Every step out.
I'm not safe with you guys. You just sat there with
Steve,
your backs
I just
to me.
let you out
Can you take me to the hospital?
Steve was denied treatment twice.